Hi everyone, today we're going to get you started with your new 3D printer. We're going to first double check your limit switch here for your Z, and then we're going to load the filament in, level the bed, and then do a first test print, get you going. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to do, I want to show you, is when your Z-axis here, this is your gantry here, when it's going up and down, we're going to want to level your bed, so you're going to want to make sure this limit switch is correct. I know you have your machine together, but I just want to show you basically what you need to do. If when you lower this down, if you turn the rod, what is it, counterclockwise, you lower it down, when it clicks and hits that limit switch, you want your nozzle to just touch the bed or just not touch the bed. It could be just above it if you want. If it actually hits the bed prior to your limit switch, prior to it clicking on your limit switch, what you want to do is loosen these and then just hold it there. So I'll show you what you're going to want to do is raise your nozzle up, and then you're going to want to hold this switch until you hear it click. Scroll down or roll it down. See, now I hear it click, but I'm really far from the bed, so I'm going to come down a little bit, and then a little more. Can actually slide this up just so you hear it click if you want, but you want this to click right before it hits the bed, and then you just want to tighten it down. And then what we'll do later on is we will level this up to the nozzle, but the reason why you want to do that is you don't want your nozzle to slam into the bed and mess it up. So next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put the filament in, and I have right here the filament dryer from your home. If you don't have one, get it. It's awesome. It's really great storage. It will keep your filament dry. Especially for like TPU, things like that, it's really important to have it dry and keep it out of the moisture. And even though you don't think it gets very humid, you'll notice it once you start to get them cut or start them printed. So you're going to want to cut this on an angle, so it has a little limit, let's say a 45 in it. And the reason why is it's not so easy to get in here in the tube here. I'm going to turn this for you a little bit so you can see. Let me do this. And what I'm shooting for is a little hole right here. I'm going to put this in, and you'll see it'll stop right away, and you're going to want to squeeze this so that it goes in. You may not, it may just stop right away, which you probably will, and you're going to want to turn it a little bit until it goes a little further. And then you're going to see it's just going to go in, and it's going all the way up around the tube here. So we're going to go in, all the way up and around, and just until it stops. That's fine, no big deal there. So let's put that back, and now that we have our filament loaded, we also have the extruder just barely touching the bed, and then next we're going to do is we're going to level the bed. So let me go ahead and put this back in place, and then we will get started. Okay, so now I've got my printer back in its little home, and we're going to walk through leveling the bed. I have another camera here on the screen to show you up close so that you can see the menu that I'm navigating through. And let's go ahead and get this done. So the first thing I want you to do is go over to Prepare and go down to Auto Home. Auto Home is going to home it left, right, X and Y, and since we set the Z-axis with the limit switch, even though it's probably not going to be right where it needs to be, at least we know it won't jam into the bed. So go ahead and click Auto Home, and you should see your machine go ahead and home. Okay, now that it's finished, you'll notice that you cannot move the bed. The motors are locked, so it can't move because that's right where it needs to be. I get a regular piece of paper, an 8 by 11 sheet of paper, whatever it is, and I cut it in little pieces, sometimes a little bigger, and this is what I'm going to use to level my bed. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go over to the display and choose Disable Stepper. That disables the motors now that we can move the bed around. Oops. the bed and the nozzle around. So right away, as you can see, I can't put the sheet underneath of mine. You may or may not be able to put it under yours. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust these knobs all the way around the machine. We're going to adjust the front left, front right. There's 4 of them, and when you slide out, slide it easy. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to drag this nozzle on the bed. So when you turn them to the right, that pulls the bed down, which pulls it away from the nozzle. So now that I've turned it a little bit, you can see my paper slides right underneath of there nicely. And what I want to do is I'm going to pull it to this corner, and I like to leave the paper under it, and I'm going to turn it to the left. Well, yeah, that left. And I'm going to move my paper as I do it, and just till I feel the drag. I just feel a little drag. That's it. And then I turn it a little more just so it's very, very lightly dragging. That's it. And then that's where you want it at. So when you slide this to this corner here, I like to keep the paper under, because if it starts to grab, you're going to notice right now it's really tight. So I don't want it to scratch the bed. So before I even continue trying to move it, I'm going to go ahead and turn this clockwise to the right to lower that bed away from it, so there's space now. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring it over there, and I'm going to go ahead and back it down just until it touches lightly. And now if you come back to the left, keep it under there, now it's really loose. So now I'm going to back it down a little bit there, snug, just so you could feel it grabbing a little bit. And then back to the right, and now it should be good. Sorry, I keep hitting my hand on this other camera here. So now it should be good. So same thing with the back 2 corners, and then we're going to go all 4 corners again. So basically what we're doing is now we're going to pull the bed forward, like keep paper under it, so it's actually grabbing pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is, instead of forcing it, I'm going to go ahead and turn that wheel clockwise so it's loose. Now it's like really loose, just so that I don't scratch the bed up, because we want to be careful. And it's really not so much the bed as it is the nozzle, because the nozzle is just like a little piece of copper that you can easily damage. And of course, once you damage that, then it's going to make all your prints bad. So actually, this is actually pretty good right here. I can feel just a little bit of snug on that. So I'm actually going to leave that right there. It was pretty good. Maybe just a little bit too much. I'm going to turn it clockwise to pull it away. And if you're not sure, turn it counterclockwise and it's really tight, and turn it clockwise again. So just so you know, this is a very, very critical step in doing this, because if your bed's not level, your print's not going to stick, or your print's going to be messed up, or there's just a lot of things. And this is like one of the biggest nightmares, is leveling the bed. So I'm going to slide it over here and over here. Again, look, it's really tight. So I'm going to go ahead and do clockwise, so it brings it up, loosens it up. Now I'm going to bring it down a little bit. It's just snug. And now that we've changed the back ones, now you're going to notice the front ones are going to need to be readjusted again also, because it's all on springs and level. If you find that you can't adjust this at all, it's just so tight, you can't adjust it, whatever, just kind of make sure these are all kind of screwed in almost about the same. If you kind of measure under here or just look at it, and if it's still way too tight, just start back over by changing your limit switch again. Maybe if it's too tight, maybe just raise this up, and then you can raise the limit switch up a little bit. But if you follow what we did the first time, you should be fine. So that's pretty good there. But now when we come back to the front part, now you're going to notice, remember I said, now it's like just so loose, there's nothing. So now I'm going to do counterclockwise, and it's going to a little bit snug. If you go to the back, now it's really tight. So just turn a little bit clockwise, loosen it. Same thing. All the way over. Up here's really loose now, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. And I'm just going to keep doing this until all 4 corners are good. There. Good. A little bit tight. Oh, that one's really tight now. Oh, wrong way. I'm turning it the wrong way, that's why. Yeah, I get confused too. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Just keep doing it. Back and forth. It's good. It's good. It's really good. So that's what you want. Now, you'll notice it prints in the middle here. And now when I'm done all that, you should get a little bit of a nice good rub here in the middle. They're not always perfectly flat, but for the most part, mine's a little bit snug there. So that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to bring that all the way around to all of them and just keep doing that because this is a very, very important step. So let's go ahead and go back on the screen here and let's go back to Auto Home. Now that we're there, disable stepper. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this in. Pull it in. And if you notice, it should not be dragging because we leveled it. You should be able to put your paper under there. It's a little snug, but you should be able to. If it's too snug, then you can loosen it. But otherwise, if you can hear a little drag. So that's actually pretty perfect. So let's go ahead and go up to Move and go Z. And let's raise this up to, let's just say, 40, whatever, 40, close enough. And this is going to raise this up for us because I want to push a little bit of filament through. While that's raising up, let's go to our menu, go to back, go to Control, Temperature, Nozzle Temperature, and let's raise this up to 200. 201, 200, 199, that's fine. Okay, now that we're about that temperature, what I want you to do is turn this knob counterclockwise. And what it's going to do is if you look under here, which you probably cannot see, I'm going to go ahead and lower this. I'm going to actually take this off. Hold on. If you lower, you can see the filament coming out. And that's, we just want to push some through, not a lot. Just keep, as you can see, I'm turning the knob. Just turn this through. And that's pretty much it. Just want to put some through. And now go back to your nozzle and lower it all the way to 0. Now let that cool down. So while that's cooling, I'm going to pull this off. Throw that away. Let's go ahead and do a test print. I'm going to click back. We're going to go up to print. And I got a pig, dog, and a cat. I'm not sure what you'll have on yours. You might have like a boat. I think they have like a tugboat. I think one of them is called Tug. Pig, dog. I don't even know what the pig looks like. So I'm going to print a pig. So that's okay that that's still heated up. It just takes less time for it to start. So I'm going to go ahead and click print on the pig. And now that it's printing, it's going to start. It's actually heating up the bed to 60 degrees or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's going to start heating up the nozzle when the bed is done. If you find that you need to make any adjustments or stop or pause it, I don't recommend pausing, but if you need to stop for whatever reason, you can just scroll this over and push stop. The one time that you may need to push stop is when this starts. If you notice that what happens is it comes over and it draws a line up here. It puts a line of filament here, and what that does is that kind of like purges and makes sure that it's ready to go. And then it comes over here. Sometimes it'll do a skirt, what's called a skirt, or sometimes it'll just go right into printing it. And if you find that the filament's just not sticking to the bed, it's just, you know, curling up or making a mess, then you can come over here to the menu and you would click stop and then start it over. If you ever need to tune it, speed, nozzle, fan, it's very, very rare that I ever make any changes in the tuning. Most of the time when you use a slicer, which I'm going to show you in another video, most of those settings will be the same. I think the only thing I've ever done is make the bed hotter so that the print will hold better. But so if it starts to print and you notice that it doesn't stick, then we can push stop. But otherwise, let's go ahead and let this print and we will see what we got. All right, so now it's going to go ahead and home itself. Now that we've already put some of the filament through, it should make a nice clean line on the side. It's actually making a line there. Okay, so I made a line there, and As you can see, it's doing what's called a skirt, which pretty much what that does is make sure everything's good. It's getting all the filament all purged up. One of the things we're going to go over in the other video is your filament coming out really smooth like that. It needs to be nice and dry, no humidity, which is really nice for the Eurohome drying container. It's a great storage container, and sometimes you can put it on a couple hours or 8 hours, 6 hours even before you're ready to do it, and it makes it so beautiful. As you can see on mine, I don't know if you can see very well. Let me see if I can zoom you in a little bit here. Printing really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and come back when she's all done. Alright, as you can see, our piggy's done. If you let your, sometimes if it's hard to come off, if you let the bed cool down, it'll just pop right off. If you did your piggy, you probably got some little supports here just to pull off. If you did the tugboat, you might have a little bit different. But whatever you printed, you know, just take the excess filament off, and that's pretty much it. You should be good to go. In our next video, we're going to go over printing a tool holder and a little bit more and show you how to get the actual 3D file and then get it to the printer. In the meantime, don't forget to clean your bed. I use some rubbing alcohol with a rag and wipe it down nice. Make sure it's nice and clean. It's really important to keep it nice and clean. And that is it. We will see you in the next video. Happy printing.
Jungle.